Guys, welcome back to the channel. Dan here today. We're talking all things Lady Dimitrescu. We're going to talk about all the background info that we've got on this character so far. I know a lot of you want to know more about this character, her background, everything we know so far. Let's dive straight in, guys. So, Countess Alcina Dimitrescu is a mutant human countess and is assumed to be the matriarch of the Dimitrescu family. Resident to a European country, she inherited Castle Dimitrescu, a fortress controlled by the family since its medieval inception. And for the last 70 years or so, she's been tied to a series of violent homicides. And she's known to live with the three women who are considered to be her daughters. And of course, that's Bella, Cassandra, and Daniela. Her eldest daughter, Bella, middle daughter, Cassandra, and youngest daughter, Daniela. Of course, they're not as tall as Lady D herself. She's 9'6", but they will still be eager to torture Ethan throughout this game. Now, the trio are referenced as daughters to Lady Dimitrescu, but we don't actually know if they actually are her daughters or blood relatives. That's unknown. We'll find out throughout the story, hopefully. Now, Bella, the oldest daughter, she's quiet, has a strong head on her shoulders. Cassandra enjoys killing. And Daniela is the youngest daughter, a bit crazy and the most delusional of the three. So they've all got their different traits. They're not all going to be the same, which is good to know. Bit of character development there. Now, according to Tomonori Takano, probably butchered his name, forgive me, the concept of the game started out as a castle with hundreds of witches inside. But that was hard to implement into a video game format, so that's how they ended up making this game. But he says, actually, when you play the game, you might notice that the setting is pretty close to that idea. All the enemy types inside the castle are female. There's some info we didn't know. With Lady Dimitrescu as the cult's guru, we have created this hierarchy of women. Men have blood drained from these women, so you could say it's the opposite of Dracula. Now, obviously, the Dimitrescu family rule this castle, regularly taking in new staff to replace those who were taken to the dungeon to be killed. The blood of the victims was to create an enriched red wine called Sanguis Virginus, Latin for maiden's blood. Again, probably butchering a name there. Maiden's blood. So we'll read into this a bit more. Obviously, in terms of gameplay, she's going to play a lot like Mr. X and Nemesis. She follows you around this castle, just this haunting figure that you just have to run from. It's funny, I say run, and half the comments here, yeah, I'm going to run towards her. There's going to be some funny content on this game, I tell you what, with all the people. You're either on one side of the fence or the other. But obviously she has these fingernails that turn into razor-sharp claws, a bit like a Wolverine type. That's how she does a lot of her damage. Obviously she can also just bite like a normal vampire, suck your blood like a Dracula. But yeah, these gigantic retractable claws that we saw in plenty of the gameplay. Now back to the daughters. It's comparable to Count Dracula and his three so-called brides who consumed kidnapped infants to maintain their youth. Very similar dynamic there, and they're obviously drawn on that. The name Dimitrescu is a name of a Greek origin, though it's a bit of a Slavic version with a Romanian touch, and that's Demetrius, which is the Greek goddess of the harvest and the fertility of the earth. So maybe that comes into her backstory of serial killing, harvesting virgin females for their blood. Seems like it ties in there. Now, back to Takano. He opened up and said that they didn't want Lady Dimitrescu to be a stereotypical villain in this game, and that's why you see her with this bearing height and this interesting fashion style. Here's what he said. He said, the design of Dimitrescu was going off a vampiric motif, but obviously if we've just gone straight in that direction, it would have been very stereotypical. We wanted to make sure we created something more memorable. Instead, the team worked on making her stand out, which came into fruition through her clothing as well as her height, 9'6". Talking about the clothing, if it was just straight up gothic clothing, it would have been forgettable, so we modified it so it stands out a little bit. We looked at fashion from the era which actresses like Audrey Hepburn were active, as well as the Addams Family, and we used those sources to create a less conventional gothic setting. Very interesting, and she definitely stands out. Of course, Resident Evil are being known now for tall villains. They seem to make every villain chase you and be tall. And it seems to work. The sales keep going up and up. And again, they've created another sort of iconic character here in Lady D before the game's even out. Thousands and thousands of views on videos of this character that we have not seen yet. It's just hype. So it's just crazy. Apparently, also her shoe size is 44 centimeters, 17 inches, which is double the average woman's shoe size. She also beats the Guinness World Record of the largest feet by 4 centimeters. So she has the biggest feet in the world. But it's funny, being 9'6", there have been people recorded at a similar height. Crazy enough. If you look at that height, though, Thanos in the MCU is about 8'3". I think Nemesis comes close to her. I don't know if he's taller, but they're very similar, in stature. But yeah, with the shoes, they're based on a real pair of high heels, scanned, resized digitally. So they've gone into the effort, that's for sure. Apparently she's likely to be upwards of 90 years old as well, so take that into account. And also, it's very likely that her end boss form will be a bit like a Mr. X or Nemesis. And what I mean by that is she's got a final form, right? A monster inside of her that comes out. And her being a vampire, you could see some sort of beast arising towards the end of this game that you're going to have to kill. That's been the same spoilers for Mr. X, for Nemesis. They've all got boss forms. Obviously, Nemesis has... he definitely progresses in his forms if you played Resident Evil 3. But the voice actress behind this character in English is Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who I'd love to get on the channel. I've reached out. We're trying to work out a time, which would be amazing to get her on and talk all about this character. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. And she's known as Nina from the Tekken series, the English version. If you've played Tekken, she's done a lot of work in Naruto, Devil May Cry. She's a seasoned vet, really, a voice director. Alex Wesker in Resident Evil games. She's done a bunch of stuff. You can look her up on IMDb. She's a seasoned vet. She's incredible at what she does, and she's going to bring an authenticity to the character, and it's going to be great. The voice acting in the game, from what I saw, was phenomenal. From the demo and from the gameplay I saw behind closed doors. And of course, Mother Miranda seems to be pulling her strings, guys. This mysterious character of Mother Miranda. We saw in the demo a little glimpse of her and maybe a little glimpse in a trailer, but it's a very mysterious character that seems to be pulling the strings. She was taking that phone call in that gameplay to Mother Miranda. Again, Mother Miranda is pulling the strings. I believe that Lady Dimitrescu is only... She's not a main villain in the sense that that's the last villain we're going to defeat. She's almost like a bodyguard to the real villain. You know what I mean? And there's also 4 houses that play in, and she's only one of the 4 houses. So you got this werewolf man, you got Heisenberg, you got all this other stuff coming in. We haven't seen half of what this game's going to offer, guys. I'm really excited. Really, really excited. I think it's going to be a really lengthy, high-quality game. Again, length doesn't always matter, but it looks like high quality and length. That's always good. That's all we know about Lady Dimitrescu at this stage. So, again, a very interesting character, and she's one that we're not going to forget, that's for sure, with the memes and the videos and the cutscenes that are to come about from this character. Hopefully she's in it a lot. But again, guys, I'm going to be streaming the new demo this weekend if you want to come and check that out. Hopefully we see more of her there. But as always, guys, subscribe to keep it locked for everything Resident Evil Village, and take care.